Welcome to the world of Latin. The Latin language, which has continued intact from Roman antiquity to the present day, has been the means by which the culture of Western civilization has also continued in the various parts of the world to which Roman influence has spread. We in America have inherited that culture in our language, our architecture, our law, our literature. When we read the poetry of Virgil, Cicero's orations, Caesar's Gallic Wars, Ovid's Metamorphoses, we read the ideas of the past, but we see how contemporary are these ideas, a reflection of our own life and times. I'm Norma Goldman from the Greek and Latin Department at Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan. This program is going to show you that Latin is alive and well and living in the United States, north, south, east, and west, in big cities and small towns. We're going to take you to various parts of the country to show how a study of Latin can affect your life and your career. Let's go first to a Junior Classical League convention in the East.
1,400 strong, decked out like citizens of ancient Rome. The National Junior Classical League gathered in the university's Greek Theater. The students, grades 7 through 12 from 32 states and Canada, study Latin, which one teacher from Boston says is far from being a dead language.
Right now, Latin is coming back. Many of the states are putting compulsory foreign language requirements in to get into the state colleges.
What you are seeing is sort of a pep rally preparatory to a march to the playing field for the students' version of the Olympic Games. Mens sano in corpore sano, a sound mind and a sound body. But Latin teacher Ken Moore of Enrico's Douglas Freeman High says most take Latin as an intellectual discipline.
Being English-speaking people, you realize that Latin will help you understand your native language. And then, of course, Latin and the language itself is the basis for knowledge in the scientific fields, literature, law, medicine.
Then it was Acta est Fabula. The play is over. Let the games begin. They marched into the arena. Sans lions, sans throwing Christians to the lions. And we don't know who won the chariot race. We had to leave. Arwell, Tempest Huguet. Ed McLaughlin, Channel 12 News.
Cooley High School, the largest in inner-city Detroit with 3,600 students, has over 500 Latin students selected to be part of the Cooley Achievement Program, CAP, the CAP program. All the students in the CAP program study Latin as the language best able to help their verbal skills when they go on to higher education. The universities have given the top students full 4-year scholarships, and these young people have achieved great success at college level. For the last 4 years, the Cooley students have won first prizes at the Detroit Classical Association Games. One year, the play was about King Midas, who was given ass's ears for judging Pan better than Apollo in a music contest. Latin has come out of the classroom and onto the stage.
We have great kids, and I want you to interview some of the kids and their parents here now because they did a wonderful job. They weren't stage-struck even.
Tell me a little bit about the program that you're working with at Cooley High School that produces this kind of student.
Well, we have a special program that if a kid does well in school and we expect him, part of his program is Latin. So we have a good enrollment in Latin.
And this is the gentleman who played Pan.
Yes.
Tell us your name.
Farron Floyd.
And did you enjoy the part?
Yeah, it was very exciting. It was a great experience to come up here on the stage and act.
And you were marvelous in the role. You're Farrain's mother?
I am his mother, Mrs. Floyd Mitchell.
And are you pleased that Farrain's taking Latin?
I'm very pleased. I don't know what changed, but they don't often come home and tell us what they're doing. And now that I see a part of what they're doing, I'm very happy.
And Mr.
Banks.
Mr. Banks, and your...
The parents of Michael and Michelle. This was King Midas and the narrator.
Yes, I understand these are twins?
Yes, they are.
How about that? And you were King Midas in the play?
Mm-hmm.
And the narrator, tell us what your Latin word is.
Explicator.
The explicator. And you did a marvelous explicator. You were just great. Are you pleased that the twins are in this Latin program?
Oh, yes, I'm very pleased. They have been very enthusiastic about taking Latin.
Who's going to read Clement? All right. Let's read it in Latin first. See what you can follow along, and we'll go through it afterwards. But see if you can follow any of it while they're reading it.
Okay. Hawkins post diebus clemens appellatum ad imperatorum de filii nuptiis consulat anxius it. In omnibus rebus cum imperatora consentira sole. Consentira sole.
I understand that you've just been given a scholarship to the University of Michigan.
Yeah.
That's a very great honor, and I understand your twin brother Michael also has a scholarship to the University of Michigan. Do you think in some way you're indebted to the CAP program for that?
Yes, because I think the CAP program makes you think. It's more competition. I think competition helps as far as college. And if you don't experience competition in high school, then I think you're at a great loss when you reach college.
Mm-hmm. Have you enjoyed the study of Latin?
Oh, yes. I enjoy Latin because it makes you think. It's not just, you look at words that you don't understand. You have to translate. You have to think.
Latin has vastly improved my vocabulary. It has given me a new appreciation for the Latin and Roman culture. It's all in all been a very informative and interesting culture. In my English classes, I find that I can find and decipher new words that I didn't know. I see a large word, I can probably derive some Latin root and probably, in all cases, figure out what the word means. It's broadened my horizon in the fact that I study Latin and Roman and Greek culture. I've studied their poetry. I know the things that they encountered, their everyday life, their government, their tribunes, consuls, the amphitheater. I've encountered through literature the Latin experience.
The Cooley Latin students have been invited to Detroit City Hall to perform their plays before the City Council, and Donald Rittering is honored for his many years of service teaching Latin.
You're most welcome. The Spirit of Detroit Pin is the token that the City Council gives to those people who have made contributions to the city of Detroit and its future. And there's no question that the best part of the future of Detroit are its young people. And your knowledge of Latin, due thanks to Mr. Rittering, will stand you in good stead. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you next year as well.
The story of Orpheus bringing Eurydice back from the underworld, as interpreted by the Cooley Latin students.
Specta me, curtu me non specta.
Non posso, tutto mi dice, non le spettate oltre. Ce ne fede mio Dio.
Specta me, curtu me amas, specta me.
Non posso, questo te amo, se te spectare non posso.
Specta me.
Es di Iam spectavo, amans oculos
Flexit amans oculos et protenis ella relapsas.
Deanna Merritt, the narrator in the play, has received a full 4-year scholarship to Wayne State University.
Classes, and also in the first speech class I took, it helped me overcome, I guess, being nervous in the class because it was my first speech, and I did it on why students should consider taking Latin. and I think everyone enjoyed it. I got a good grade on it, so I was thankful for that. Latin has also exposed me to other cultures and some places that I'd like to go in the future.
Stephen Poole studied Latin at Cranbrook, north of Detroit.
Reading a work in another language is very important and also very exciting. And at Cranbrook, we read the Aeneid in Latin, 6 books, and that was an experience that I wouldn't trade with anything.
Students' skills in the foreign language area will be called into question more and more often, we feel. So we encourage students to come in with language background. Latin happens to be particularly helpful, we think, because when you study Latin, you're doing several things at once. You're studying history. The language has been around for millennia. You're studying a foreign culture, and you're not only studying the culture of Rome, but you're also studying the culture of all subsequent civilizations since then, practically, because at least in Western Europe and in the Mediterranean, those cultures were all influenced in large part by the Roman Empire.
Attention to detail, which is required, and the necessity of having to think through very clearly exactly what it is that the author that you are reading is saying. I think all these considerations help to ensure that a student who has studied Latin in high school will do very well in college. I speak also from experience as a classicist myself. I'm also the mother of 4 children, all of whom have chosen to study at least one language in high school. 2 of them have chosen to study Latin, and I firmly believe that that choice will contribute greatly to their success in college.
And I must say that in addition to the intrinsic value of learning Latin because of its use in understanding and in learning English and in learning other foreign languages, there's an enormous advantage that I think accrues to a student who takes Latin through the development of certain rigor and certain discipline in thought process development, which is extremely valuable in all facets of life after one has been exposed to it.
And what advice would you have then to a student who's trying to decide what language to elect?
Oh, I would urge any student who has an interest in developing himself or herself into a well-educated person, a person who can enjoy the life ahead, to take Latin at an early stage in development and certainly in high school. It gives an advantage to the individual that is truly incalculable at the time people are taking Latin. It was both enjoyable and it paid dividends almost immediately when I looked at what it was that I was learning.
Did you have a good time?
Oh, I loved it. I thought Latin was great fun. I learned about ancient culture. I learned a great deal about ancient history. I learned a great deal about my own capabilities and interests. And I've been able to utilize the disciplined approach of analysis and fine point understanding that Latin requires in order for you to be successful at it in virtually everything I've done, both in my medical school career and my career as a physician, as a laboratory scientist, and certainly as an academic administrator.
Students from all over Detroit and the suburbs compete in the annual Detroit Games with songs and skits. This young lady from Grosse Pointe South has a Latin version of Hello, Dolly. Grosse Pointe South is tying the present with the past in Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA, which works well as Natus USA Eram.
Natus USA Eram.
This exceptional presentation from Marielda's Cicero class in Cass Technical High School in downtown Detroit won the award for the best Latin, Cicero's Oration Against Catiline.
Go on with his living freely and even participate in the Senate. Catiline rebukes Cicero and appeals to the gods and the patres conscriptis, but to no avail. Cicero's dramatic choice of words and delivery convinces his fellow senators as he urges Catiline to flee the city and finally ends his speech with a dramatic prayer to Jupiter.
Quo usque tandem abutera Catilina patent an nostra. Quam deu eta am fuloris de tuus nos eludet. Quamad binem sese affinata iactibet audeca.
On the wall behind Marielda are the prizes won by her students in Junior Classical League competition.
Is growing, and the more you let people know about what you're doing and the successes that you have, the more easily it grows. I'm going to ask you to translate on page 131. And this is the part you were just talking about where I don't want you to put up a statue, I don't want you to give me any special medals or badges. I just want you to remember. I want your children and your grandchildren. For two 12th graders, how about, since this is a mixed class, an 11th grader continuing with nihil me mutuum potesti lectare? All right, Chris?
No such sign, no such statue, no such thing, something like that. Is able to
Not something like that. What does your footnote say?
Such as a statue.
All right, but that's not a translation because it's not in italics.
No such.
Nothing mused or...
What do I think I've gained? I think having all the study of Latin has given me a set of reasoning skills and of critical thinking skills that wouldn't have been so strong otherwise.
Marielda has many times taken her students abroad to see the places they have studied. Anthony is one of students who went with Mrs. Yelda to Europe last year.
After studying Latin and mythology for 4 years, finally to see these things, it was wonderful. We traveled by bus. We saw Milan, Rome, Venice, Capri, Pompeii, Sorrento, Assisi, Ravenna, and we stopped at Naples at the port to travel to Capri. The thing about the trip was the Pantheon.
Let's go south from Detroit in the north to New Orleans. With high standards from kindergarten through 12th, the Newman School has a long waiting list for its programs of excellence. Latin begins in the 5th grade and continues through 12. Here is B. Johnson with Latin being taught to children in elementary school.
Who is he watching?
Using the same text as was used in the elementary school, Allison Rhymes at Newman is teaching in the high school, but going 3 times as fast. In New Orleans, at Jesuit High, Stephen Pierce, in academic garb, conducts his exciting Virgil class, letting the students run the show. In his office, he discusses literature over tea with students and with Father Boudreau, who teaches Greek. At Jesuit, a student can study 5 years of Latin and 4 years of Greek. In Virginia, Maureen O'Donnell combines in one class period the teaching of Latin grammar with a lesson on the Colosseum.
Let's start with a vocative. A vocative is a case. It is the 6th case. What are the 5 cases we already know, please? Nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, and ablative. And now we're going to learn the 6th case, which is called vocative. It comes from the Latin verb voco vocare, which means what, Amy?
To call.
To call. So we use this case to call somebody by name. It is called the case of direct address. You are speaking to someone directly. I want you to look at this. You see there are 4 tiers, right? Look at this style of column at the bottom. It is the plainest one. What do you call the plainest type of Doric? Look at this one, however. Do you see the flowers? What is that?
Corinthian.
What do you call that leaf? Anybody remember? I told you a long time ago. It's called an acanthus leaf that always decorated the column. There were 80 such openings. And You would make arrangements to meet your friend at a certain opening, and there were statues of the deities in each of these. So maybe I'd meet you at the Venus portal. Or maybe I'd meet you at the portal of Minerva.
Sally Davis at Wakefield High in Virginia has seated her students in a circle to discuss the opinion the Romans held about the Greeks.
Istuo, if you say, I am hot, he'll be wet. He begins to sweat. Okay? I mean, he can do anything that the occasion demands. And that's what Juvenal says Greeks are like. He says they don't have any values. And they're just like, they just blow any direction with the wind. They'll try anything. They can do anything, anytime. Orbem terrarum. What's orbem terrarum, Lynn? What's orbis terrarum?
What is orbem? I know it's the world.
Oh, it is the world. That's all you need, the whole world. Okay, per orbem terrarum means what? Throughout the whole world. Okay.
Christine Sleeper of Herndon High School is one of a team of teachers in Virginia who annually write the National Latin Exam. Students from all over the country compete for gold and silver medals, answering questions in Latin language, literature, history, and Greek and Roman mythology. A quiz bowl set up in the room provides training both for the National Latin Exam and the Junior Classical League Convention Quiz Bowl.
For 10 points. In Roman architecture, as well as Greek, there are 3 types of columns. Name all of them.
Yeah. Okay, one type is the Ionic, and it goes up and it curls around. The question was to describe one. What was the question? I thought it was right.
Bonus for 5 points. What does it mean to cut the Gordian knot?
Solve a problem directly.
Correct for 5 points.
Students take the National Latin Exam in their own schools. In 1978, 8,000 students took the examination. In 1987, 67,000, an increase of over 800%, an indication of the increase in Latin enrollment. Also in Mid-America, at Edgewood High in Wisconsin, computers are part of language education, with software for vocabulary, games, exercises, and reading comprehension. Here the student declines gladius, nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative. In reading comprehension, the student is asked to choose between 2 forms of the verb. If a mistake is made, there are hints to lead the student to the correct answer. In vocabulary, the student chooses the correct meaning for the Latin word, assisted by the teacher. In Moorhead, Minnesota, when the JCL convention met at Concordia College, even Wendy's welcomed the students. A highlight of the weekend is the Quiz Bowl, with Olin Storvac tossing out the questions.
Before noon as being AM. What do those 2 letters stand for? Antimaty.
Professor Stan Iverson hands out the prizes won in the Quiz Bowl, in athletic competition, and for the exams in history, language, and mythology. Students from all over California assemble for the JCL convention. At the convention, students reap the rewards of studying and training in medals for mental and physical gymnastics.
A democratic assembly where every individual in that assembly is no greater, no worse, no more, no less, that just as Prometheus stole the fire from heaven and gave it to human beings, we today retain that fire within ourselves.
Excitement builds as students, parents, teachers work from the ground up to recreate the mood of Rome here in a temple facade. In assembly, rivalry builds as the school teams are introduced. What to wear to the chariot race. Costumes for men and for women.
Kind of linen material all the way down to the straight, maybe with a belt at the waist down to the ankles, and then a pala on top, which was usually a pastel color to give a little life to her outfit, and was worn by all respectable women when they went out on the street to cover up.
Mythology tests are part of JCL activities. Here in mental gymnastics, a quick right answer is required.
Who was the king of Mycenae and the brother of Menelaus?
Of who should be president of JCL and where the convention should be.
Just as they did in antiquity, performers climax the evening banquet with a dance in the classical mood, although now parents, teachers, and students serve the food.
Or just take them.
In physical gymnastics, track and field events predominate, with the torch handed on in relay. Still handing on the torch of knowledge in another part of the USA, classics professor Waldo Sweet of the University of Michigan, author of a new book on sports in antiquity, has just finished the Ann Arbor Marathon with his wife Betty.
When I was in college, I wondered, freshman year, what did I wonder I was going to do? And all of a sudden, it occurred to me I could keep on doing what I like to do so much, which is study Greek, Latin, and athletics, run. I'm now retired, but I'm working on a book for that we have used in my sports class called Sport and Recreation in Ancient Greece. A person who was overseeing this book when it was being brought out knows 7 languages. And he said of those 7, the one I treasure the most is Latin.
Main sana in sano corpora, a sound mind in a sound body. We have visited classics programs north, south, east, and west to show you the rewards of the study of Latin. In Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., where Latin was introduced in the elementary schools, students behind grade level caught up and surpassed their peers. At high school, Latin students score higher than any others on the SAT exams, the exams that open doors to colleges. If you're a student, try Latin. If you're a parent, suggest Latin. If you're a counselor,